Everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I want to talk about something that I actually saw in an article here from Collider, and that is regarding the future of the Walking Dead universe in terms of, a possible spinoff that may actually be happening very soon here. So yeah, I do want to talk about this. So before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. I will be taking a break tomorrow because it's my daughter's birthday, so I just want to sort of relax and, get everything ready for the party and all that. So yeah, no video tomorrow, but I will be back the next day, and a lot of stuff happening next week, so I'm really excited. We do have Daredevil Born Again. We've been seeing a lot of really cool looks at Jon Bernthal, actually, and his return as the Punisher, so I'm really excited about that. There's a lot of news about like a potential spinoff with Jon Bernthal, coming back as the Punisher. I think it's more like a special, if anything. Honestly, they should just do a movie. Like, I really don't understand why they don't just do a Punisher movie. Like, there's so many Marvel movies that they're doing right now that I really don't understand why they're necessarily doing that. Like, Thunderbolts, who's gonna go and watch that? But if you come out with a Punisher movie and you have Jon Bernthal as like the star, like, everyone knows what to expect with that. Like, that would be an incredible movie. So yeah, anyways, I'm really excited about this show. I really can't wait to see the Punisher's return, as well as Daredevil and all of the other characters. I'm really looking forward to this, and I will be doing reviews on this every single week, so stay tuned for that. But let's get into what I wanted to talk about here. And again, I'm seeing this here in an article from Collider.com, so I will leave a link down below to the article if you do want to check this out. I was actually really interested in like what was maybe going to be said at this event, because the event was held, I believe, last weekend. I could be wrong with that, but I know that Gimple was at some sort of event recently where they were doing something, and I think some of the other actors from The Walking Dead, like in the past, were there as well, and it was more just to like answering questions and whatnot and just like showing support. But I was really wondering if like anything was said during the event, because I didn't really see any, like interviews coming out or anything like that. No one really wrote anything at all about it. And so I saw this article here from Collider, and apparently Screen Rant, I guess, got a lot of this here. And so apparently what Scott Gimple actually said here was he talked about the future of the Walking Dead universe, and this is what he said regarding like another spinoff. And yeah, we'll just get into what he said and we'll talk about it afterwards. He says, "There's one that we're working on that I'm very, very excited to see, that we've never been before, but I'd also love to see it in Tokyo. I would love to see it in Africa, and I would love to see it in Iceland. I know that's a weird one, but we want to spam the globe because there's stories all over the globe." And so that, to me right there, I mean, first of all, like, yeah, it seems like there's going to be another spinoff that is going to be happening right now. Like, he says that there's one that they're working on that he's very, very excited to see. And, the fact that he's actually working on an idea right now, like, there is going to be another spinoff, because it does feel like there's not enough Walking Dead stuff out there right now. Obviously, he is working on something else right now, and we have heard about this before. I think, last fall in October, I believe, when they were promoting The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon and talking a little bit about Dead City and all of that, he mentioned this actually beforehand. Like, it wasn't this thing here, but he did mention that he was working on some stuff or whatever, this and that. And so this is really exciting news, because it seems like whatever this spinoff is going to be, it's going to be set in a different place that we've never been in before. Now, I don't necessarily know what that means overall. Like, definitely, I think the one thing that The Walking Dead really likes right now is filming like the story in different locations to give, I guess the world just a different sort of look overall. And I think that it does keep things fresh. And definitely that is something that I'm really excited about. But the one thing that you don't want The Walking Dead to become is like this traveling show, right? Where you basically just travel the world. And that's sort of the whole point of the show, is like zombies all around the world. Like, you don't want it to be basically Ride with Norman Reedus, right? Because I think that show is, I mean, that's an amazing show. I love that show. But like, that's sort of what it feels like The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon is, in some sense, though I know that they are sort of like, they're changing it up a bit, but you just don't want the spinoffs to be that, like, definitely I want another spinoff. I do want to see other locations, like, obviously they've been to France and now they're going to Spain. We've seen some other places in the United States and whatnot. So it would be cool to see them filming just in other places in general, because there's a lot of places that they can go still. But yeah, like, you do want to sort of connect the stories a little bit, or I don't know, again, like, if they're going to do a spinoff somewhere else, like the one thing that would be exciting about that is if it's an original story. I think that is something that would be really amazing, because an original story, I think, is something that a lot of people would want right now. And it would be cool if it was set during that time. Like, don't set it during, the 10 to 15 year, I guess, timeline that we're in right now, set it literally in the very beginning of the apocalypse. I think that would be really exciting because that time you could just really spend on like focusing on the characters and how they're going to handle the apocalypse. Like that's really where you learn a lot about characters in general, is like who they were before the apocalypse, their reactions to the apocalypse, and then who they become afterwards, right? And how they deal with things. And then you follow their journey as like time goes on. Like that's the reason why we like a lot of the characters that we like now, like the main cast, right? Like there can be other characters that come along that were really like, okay, this character is really amazing. But usually those characters will also have a backstory too. Like once you get more of a backstory to the characters, like you learn a lot more about them, right? Like that's just one thing, that whenever you get like a backstory on a character to like what they were like before the apocalypse, the character is like amazing immediately, right? So I think that that is something that if you have like a main cast, like an original cast, a show set around that time, that is something that will happen, right? So this is something that is really exciting here. But I do want to get into something else here that was also mentioned. And this has to do actually with the process of, I guess, you know, doing a lot of the crossovers or like developing some of the spinoffs and all that, and things, I guess, not really necessarily happening. But this is what Gimple had to say. It's so integral to Daryl Dixon's story, but even beyond that, we want to go to more places. We want to see other characters throughout the world and how they're faring. And we have had a lot of experiments to that. We've actually done really cool stories towards that, but they haven't just come to fruition for this reason or that. But I will say that by doing them, I've essentially seen those shows in my brain and I really like them. So I guess it's really just sort of saying that he's done a lot of writing for the world in general. He knows where a lot of these stories are just overall, but I guess AMC is not really greenlighting any of these ideas, right? So, I mean, to me, that has to do more with the fact that that has to do more with the fact that like these stories have to be good, right? Like the way I view it is like Tales of the Walking Dead, that show, like, the idea of the show is good. Like, even if you just had the characters that were there, like the story ideas are very good. It's just that there was not enough connections to The Walking Dead. And the one thing with this that you need to do that is really, really important for like everyone being really excited overall about The Walking Dead and like the spinoffs and everything is people want connections to like the original series. And it's more because that story is the most important. Like, you don't always have to do connections to Rick Grimes, connections to this and that. It's just, you just have to make more connections overall, I think. And, you know, I think that obviously in terms of writing stories, they're all not going to be greenlit. Like, how easy is it to write a story? It's very easy. Like, whether or not it's good, that's totally a different thing. But like, if Gimple came up with like 5 or 6 spinoffs over a couple of years, like AMC is not going to greenlight every single show, right? Like, that's not going to happen. So I think that, yeah, in terms of the next spinoff, where I think they should go is, like, obviously everyone's going to say Rick and Michonne, like, do a season 2 or a new series, but that's going to come with time, I think. You know, like, I think we're going to have to wait a little bit for that. I just think that right now, what everyone would really, really be excited about is an original series set in, like, a new location. And it doesn't have to be a crazy location, but just something like that where we can really, really, like, you know, really like the new characters and just explore a different world like that. Because that was what was really exciting about Fear the Walking Dead, was like you had all the main characters and then you would go away and take a break for a little bit with like these newer characters, and the story was just not the best. So obviously that was just, you know, that was the issue there. But in the beginning it wasn't like that. Like, people really liked season 1. So, you know, I think that that's where they should go next. And what's really interesting about it, though, is what Scott Gimple originally said here, which was that there actually might be a spinoff coming out soon, or there might be an announcement very soon. So let's actually get into this here. I do want to give my thoughts on this one thing here. So Screen Rant here says that, that plans are already in motion for an exciting, yet to be titled spinoff. So it was exactly what I was reading before, in which Gimple said, there's one that we're working on that I'm very, very excited to see, that we've never been before. Then he goes into like where he would love to do other stories and all of that. But that right there is really exciting, because there's been some rumors that, you know, they could be filming something later on this year. There was that weird thing that they filmed like last month, I believe. It was like a very, very short thing. I think it was like one day, and we still don't know what it was about. You know, there were rumors that it was Walking Dead related. A lot of the, you know, I guess people that were covering that event were writing articles about that anyway, saying it was Walking Dead related, but nothing seemed to be Walking Dead related. So I don't know if that's going to be a post-credit scene that is going to be announced at the end of The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2. You know, I do think that that is going to be something that is likely going to be happening. Like, that's sort of what I'm expecting right now is that we are going to get another spinoff announcement, probably happening around that time. I think like literally right after Dead City Season 2 finishes airing, we're going to get that spinoff announcement. I think that show is likely going to be filming this summer, maybe, and maybe coming out in 2026. I could totally see that. Like, it just kind of feels like that's what we're going to be getting here. And, you know, they'll talk about it a little bit more at Comic-Con. And then that's going to be exciting to see, you know, just like where they're going to go, because they got to do something else, you know, right now, because Rick and Michonne, I don't think they're going to be back for a couple of years yet. I think that we'll get an announcement of that at some point, I'm sure. There's going to be updates here and there. There'll be really exciting updates. Like if Andrew Lincoln's talking about the show, this and that, like there'll be stuff where we're like, okay, it seems like things are going to be happening soon. But I think that, you know, like my prediction for the next like Rick and Michonne series is probably 2028. I feel like that makes a lot of sense. I think it's going to be some time. And so, you know, like, what are you going to do before then? Like around that point, I feel like Daryl Dixon and Dead City will be probably over. And then, yeah, I just think in the meantime, do an original series, like do a different spinoff. So I think that's the thing is like, I think it's smart on AMC's part as well. Like you don't want to like greenlight every spinoff just because you can, right? Like there's so many characters from the Commonwealth. There's all these other spinoffs. Like you can do so many stories if you wanted to, but you kind of want to be smart with it and you want the stories to be really good, right? So I think doing a story set in a place that we've never really been, you know, I think would be really cool, especially if there's just, I don't know, I can see that being like the most exciting part here because of the fact that Fear the Walking Dead is over. I think if Fear the Walking Dead was still going, then I would be like, well, maybe don't do that. But Fear the Walking Dead is over. So I think it's time for that now. And yeah, I mean, it would be coming out in 2026, most likely, right? Because Dead City's airing May 4th until the end of June or something like that. And then we're going to have Daryl Dixon airing in the fall, likely ending around November, December or something. And so, you know, this show could be out like early or like spring or something of 2026. If it is announced like coming up here, obviously at Comic-Con or something like that, or the post-credit scene. But the fact that Gimple did say this here, like it makes me really kind of excited about the fact that I think another spinoff is most likely happening very soon. But yeah, I'm going to leave it here though. So definitely post all your thoughts down below. What do you think this spinoff is going to be? And like, where do you think the spinoff is going to be set? Or like, where would you like the spinoff to be set? I think that's a really important part to all this because, you know, for me, I would really like to see the spinoff. I mean, I don't really even know, to be honest. Like, I do miss the woods. I really do. Like, I know we were there for like ever, but I do kind of miss that a little bit now. So I think it would be cool to see that. I think it is important, though, that like when the apocalypse happens, that they're like near a city. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because The Walking Dead did that with Atlanta, but that was just amazing. So like, I would like to see an aspect to it like that. But yeah, I don't know. I would have to think about it a little bit more, but definitely let me know your thoughts down below on all this. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one.